welcome to EP Daily. Today on the show, we like turtles in the rundown.
Plus, Zay takes a strategic turn with a new XCOM 2.
And then we catch up with filmmaker Reginald Hudlin to talk about the rebirth of Milestone Comics. Also coming up, our classic cartridge reviews get us up to speed with The Flash. We put the pedal to the metal with a look back at Full Auto 2, and much more today on EP Daily. Brought to you by EB Games. I'm your host, Victor Lucas, bringing you the latest on everything cool every single day. And in case you haven't heard, things are changing for us at the end of 2015. We are moving away from our partnership with City and G4 Canada. I am talking to people behind the scenes about a new home and new partners for us in the future. But in the meantime, if you'd like to support us and the work that we do, please go to our YouTube channel, watch some content, and subscribe. That's at youtube.com/EPNTV. Now, let's get to the rundown. Here's something that might leave you a little shell-shocked. Platinum Games, the studio behind Vanquish and Bayonetta, is rumored to be working on a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. The project hasn't been officially announced, but details were apparently leaked by Australia's Game Classification Board. If the listing is true, the game is called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan and is being made for the Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Platinum Games has made a name for itself thanks to its awesome combat using swords and other melee weapons, which seems like a perfect fit for the Turtles. This wouldn't be the studio's first time taking on an iconic franchise from the 1980s. They just released Transformers Devastation earlier this year.
Autobots, Megatron is headed for that steel tower. Move out.
The first time was for himself, the second was for his country. This time, it's for TV. Deadline reports that Sylvester Stallone and Fox are joining forces to create a Rambo TV series. The show is expected to focus on Rambo's son, Rambo Jr., with Stallone serving as a producer. It's unclear if he'll also appear in front of the camera back in his iconic role. He last portrayed Rambo on the big screen in 2008. Stallone has been trying to get a new Rambo movie off the ground since then, but that project looks like it's dead in the water. The 80s will never die, people. We've got Rambos and the Turtles. Rambos, actually. Here's Marissa Roberto to talk about that. Are you excited about a Rambo TV show starring Rambo Jr.? They should just call it Rambo Jr., I think.
I don't know, listen, I'm all about Sylvester Stallone right now,
He's great, yes.
Anything to do with him in any capacity, I want all of it.
Yeah. We also like The Expendables, and I gotta be honest, I didn't mind that last Rambo movie that he made. It was so ridiculous. But, you know, when did this guy have time to stop and have a son? And what kind of a dad would Rambo be, really?
Let's move.
We'll see if that project comes together.
Okay.
I'm intrigued. I definitely want to see Rambo Jr. on TV. Now, let's talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and in the hands of Platinum Games. And I haven't played this Transformers Devastation game yet, but apparently it's a ton of fun. And I feel like they're definitely a company that's been influenced by a lot of the sort of crazy, media from the 80s and a lot of the action sort of stuff that's out there. And I think this is a really cool marriage. I think we might get an awesome Turtles game out of this.
If Scott were here right now, I know he'd be really excited because Platinum Games, the name itself gets him excited.
Yes.
But I don't know how excited he'd be about Turtles, about Ninja Turtles.
Well, I mean, this is definitely a company that has pedigree and the chops, but it's also dealing with, an incredible sort of crunch in sort of market sort of resources right now. And I think the idea of Platinum being able to just consistently produce their own original IP is probably a little difficult in this current sort of market climate. So they're going to be working with licensed stuff, but we might get excellent licensed stuff.
Right, but I've been waiting for an amazing Ninja Turtles game since like my NES days, where I couldn't pass that water level, which was, I know, in the beginning, but still was really hard, okay?
Okay.
It was too hard.
True Confessions with Marissa Roberta. All right, well.
That music is like ingrained in my brain.
I get it. Let's move on to some 2016 games that we're looking forward to. Today, it's XCOM 2.
We are talking about XCOM 2, the highly anticipated sequel to XCOM Enemy Unknown. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are bringing brand spanking new into the world of XCOM with XCOM 2.
There is a lot brand spanking new. We are very, very excited. Brand new world. First of all, a lot of new design pillars. We have procedural maps, so you'll never see the same map twice. Procedural mission objectives, so the special missions that players may remember from Enemy Unknown, where you had to go do this specific thing, they're now layered on top and you don't know what you're gonna get and where on any mission type. So now you won't get that feeling of, I've seen this map before. It's going to be different every time. We really wanted to increase replayability. The world takes place 20 years after the events of Enemy Unknown, so the setting is in the future, and the other twist with the narrative is that you lost. So you did not get to save the world in Enemy Unknown, which might be a little heartbreaking to some players, but it makes sense based off of all the testimonials we heard of players that lost the game. And you know, it really was an opportunity to stack the odds even more so against the player and say, you know what, you lost a lot when playing Enemy Unknown. Here, you have to rebuild the resistance. You're gonna have more odds stacked against you. Rebuild and galvanize XCOM and go save the world. We're PC only right now for XCOM 2, and we're doing that for a variety of reasons. Firaxis has a very strong pedigree in PC, and there are some other design features that we really wanted to push, such as modding. That's something that we did not get to do with Enemy Unknown, and there's a very, very talented, robust modding community out there. We're going to provide them with the tools through Steam Workshop to be able to create any worlds they want, and we want to see what sort of things can be built by the community.
And obviously, since, you know, we lost the war, there's more than likely going to be some new villains that have decided to come out, maybe sink their teeth into us in this version of the game?
Yes, there are a lot of new villains. XCOM is all about a menagerie of aliens, and after you get sort of past the front of the Advent,
You've got the green light.
then there are these really, really creepy aliens that start coming out and trying to take down the Resistance themselves. We showed the Viper, which is an homage to the Snake Man from the original UFO Defense, and we finally got the Thin Man from Enemy Unknown to shed his skin and show his true form, which is this very, very terrifying unit that can yank you out of cover with her tongue at any time. She can bind you. She's very, very terrifying. You need group units to take them down. We have the evolved Sectoid, which has psionic abilities. So the Sectoid is no longer this little cute little gray alien. They're now about 7 feet tall. They're very imposing, and they're a lot tougher with their psionic abilities.
And what about your characters themselves? Are we going to be formulating a master, structure for them to live in and make sure that they are equipped and well enough to not constantly die, like my entire crew did in the last XCOM?
See, that happened to a lot of people. Mine did too, don't worry about it. I helped make the game and they died all the time. I'm glad you asked that. There will be a new structure to galvanize the Resistance through, and you're gonna be able to have a flying base now in XCOM. So in EU, you're underground and you're static, but now you need something that will allow you to globetrot around the world, be on the run constantly, but also spark this global resistance to wake up the world about the truth of what's happening and take back what was ours, which was Earth.
Welcome back, Commander.
February is going to be a big, busy month for video games. XCOM 2 comes out that month as well.
Don't go anywhere, because after the break, we've got a way back playback. That's right, classic cartridge review is coming for you.
This episode of EP Daily is brought to you by Collective Minds, the makers of the PS4 Cool and Charge stand and the Xbox One Media Hub, available at EB Games.
I'm Sigurlína Ingvarsdóttir, and I'm the senior producer for Star Wars Battlefront. My first memory is of being very, very small, seeing a dark, ominous being that I was terrified of. That being, I later learned, was Darth Vader. I also remember playing as a kid, talking about Star Wars, making, lightsaber sounds, building Legos, and imagining myself being in the Star Wars universe.
Yes, Sigurlína Ingvarsdóttir. First of all, love saying your name,
Yes.
number one. Number two, love that you're Icelandic. And number three, love that you're a big boss lady with Star Wars Battlefront.
And I love playing her game, and I love that there are 4 big boss ladies with Jade Raymond out of EA in Montreal, and Amy Hennig in EA in San Francisco, and Kathleen Kennedy at Lucas and Disney, all sort of supervising Star Wars. Very cool. But let's move over to another one of my favorite things these days. It's The Flash. There was a Game Boy Advance cartridge, and we took a classic cartridge review look at it.
With the awesome television show known as The Flash picking up some steam, we thought, why not pick up one of our old cartridges, our Game Boy Advance cartridge, Justice League Hero The Flash, and have a go at it. This one is a beat-em-up style game where you're playing as the Flash. He has some buddies that help him along the way if you might need it as a power-up. But I must say, I've played better beat-em-ups in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a different tactic way forward developed this title, and I don't know if we've ever reviewed it on the show because it sort of came out in a weird time, maybe between seasons or something like that. But I've always had a fondness for this game because I think one of the things that it does do well, the beat 'em up stuff is a little sloppy, but the speed of the Flash is actually very well represented in this game, and I really enjoyed this character, and I think he's a terrific video game character that they just haven't done enough with, and I think WayForward tapped into something here, and with more advanced hardware, a game like this would be a hell of a lot of fun.
Okay, it would be, because the collision detection needs to be much better.
Yes, it does.
Because that is a massive problem.
Yeah.
I don't want to be frustrating and yelling at my TV, because we were able to play it on the Retrons now, so you can see it big on my television. You can really see the flaws, right? So I want to be able to, if I'm lining up with an enemy, I want to be able to hit that enemy.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have the enemy come up to me and be able to hit me even though he's not in the same line.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to me at all. It was completely backwards. I didn't enjoy that, but I did enjoy the Flash for sure as a character. I thought he was so funny. I had all these laugh out loud moments when he was interacting with whatever it was. If he was about to take on a boss, he would have little interactions with the boss.
Which is true to the character, and and I like the comic book kind of way that they sort of paged into each of these different levels that we're getting to run around in. And we're in Themyscira, which is the homeworld of Wonder Woman. We're in Gotham City. We're in Keystone, of course, and I think it's a pretty cool approximation of the vibe that you get from the comics. I think it's a fun look back if you're a fan of the Flash TV show. And I also dig that as part of the Justice League Heroes thing, there was an RPG light. This was Warner Brothers' attempt to kind of capitalize on the success of Marvel Ultimate Alliance. They wanted to build a Justice League type thing there. It wasn't as good at all, but this was sort of roped in with the rest of those games that came out at the time. And I think this is one of the games that I like to go back to the most because of its simplicity, its pick up and play. It's not very long, but you also get the other Justice League characters to pop in every once in a while. Superman will fly in and blast everybody with his freeze breath or his heat vision.
Yes, you see Wonder Woman.
Yes.
That excites me, as you know. But he does have his other power-up as well, where he can slow down time around him because he's fast as light, so he moves quickly. But then that would fail me because the game mechanics
Because it's stuttery,
failed, and it's stuttery. So I would save up all of my points that I had accrued when fighting to use my power-up, and they would always be wasted every single time, which is so unfortunate.
Because you couldn't line up the appropriate... Yeah, it's a weird isometric kind of viewpoint. What are you giving the Flash on Game Boy Advance?
Ooh, it's gonna go 6.
I still really dig this game. It's a 7.5 from me.
Yes, another classic cartridge for the YouTube playlist, my friends.
That's right, absolutely. Now, we have also got another YouTube playlist for our 25 seasons in 25 days. In this one today, we've got Jade Raymond taking us into the game called Full Auto 2.
Hey, we're here in the heart of Toronto on Queen Street, and we're talking to William and Cord from Pseudo. They are going to tell us about their launch title for the PS3 Full Auto 2 Battle Lines. So tell us about the game.
Well, we took Full Auto, which was an awesome game on the 360, the most destructive racing game ever. We made it even more destructive, adding lots of moments where you can shoot at objects to trap people, crush people. You can shoot containers, and this is a level of destruction that people dreamed of doing in the first game, but we're delivering it in the second game.
Can you tell us about the weapons?
Now we have fully customizable weapons, so you can add things on front, on the back of your car. We had 5 presets with the last game, and some people found it to be limiting. Now it's kind of, depending on the car class and what type of weapon it is, go nuts. You can find any combination that suits your playing style.
What is it about the PlayStation 3 that makes destruction that much more satisfying?
When we made the first Full Auto, we really squeezed a lot of the horsepower out of the next-gen systems to get a really high level of destruction. And now, a year later, we're able to squeeze even more destruction out of our city environments and pack in even more stuff that you can blow up to get in the way of opponents, to blow up opponents, to cause chain reactions.
Tell us, what different modes can you play in?
We're really happy to deliver gladiator mode, so anytime you want to get into a death match with your friends or online, you can just go into an arena and blow each other up. With the first Full Auto, it was much more of an arcade experience. There wasn't much depth to the career mode. So with Full Auto 2 Battle Lines, we really wanted to make it a different experience from the arcade mode, and so we've made it a lot more mission-based.
What are the environments? If you're going to be destroying things, you want to have cool things in the environments and tracks. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, we have an environment similar to Queen Street here. It's kind of more garmenty and entertainment. We have a financial district. We also have a shipping district and an industrial area. And each of these areas kind of have their own unique flair.
Some of the criticism on the first full auto was that you could use the unwreck feature a little too often, took out some of the challenge. What have you done with this game to balance that a little better?
What we did, we found a very clever, elegant system to balance unwreck, whereby you earn unwreck the same way you earn boost, and they pull from the same system. So now, the faster you go, if you're really leaning on boost, the less unwreck you'll have.
So you guys spend all this time developing traffic simulations. When you're out on the street like this, do you ever get worried that a car's gonna spring some kind of weapon?
Not really. I mean, we spend a lot of time with virtual cars and guns, but I mean, we're kind of protected in our office, and we don't really have much. Oh my God.
I always used to love that Jade would just tolerate our crazy effects pieces. She would just sort of sit there and trust that we would add things all around her like that.
I love that Jade Raven so much. Don't go anywhere, because after the break, we're dipping into the DC and Milestone with Reginald Hudlin.
This episode of EP Daily is brought to you by Collective Minds, the makers of the PS4 Cool and Charge stand and the Xbox One Media Hub, available at EB Games.
Well, hello there, and welcome back to EP Daily.
Look at how nice you are.
We're Canadian.
Very, very nice. Listen, Milestone Comics was a very big landmark imprint that came out in the 1990s, and it went through some hardships when the founder of the imprint, named Dwayne McDuffie, passed away. This year, DC announced that they're bringing back the Milestone Comics imprint, and they're partnering with Reginald Hudlin, who's a very established filmmaker in Hollywood. He was incredibly excited about the news and excited to talk to us. Got some huge news at the con. Milestone Comics is coming back, and Reginald Hudlin is part of all of this. And Reggie's from the film world. You've worked on lots of movies over the years. What drew you to Milestone? What was so special about Milestone, and how was it coming back?
Well, I've been a comic fan my whole life, and specifically a huge fan of Milestone in its first incarnation in the 90s.
Yeah.
So when they offered a second bite at the apple, like, hey, we're relaunching the company, we want you to be a part of it, I said, I'm not going to blow it twice, I'm in.
Because they wanted you back in the 90s, but you were busy building your film career.
Exactly. I figured, let me get good at one job before I take on a second job.
Well, for those that don't know, what was special about Milestone? What was so cool about that?
Well, they were comic books that dealt with the now. The challenge with comic books, you got characters created in the 1940s, characters created in the 1960s. Those are great characters, and those companies have done a great job at keeping them relevant. But when you create a character in the moment, and they really captured where the culture was of the 1990s and all the big social and political changes that were going on. And now that we're revisiting those characters and updating them for the 21st century, they're more relevant than ever.
I was just at dinner with Alan Burnett, who was on the Static Shock animated series. We were just talking about that last night. He is coming back in a big way. You've actually been writing a lot of script about new Static Shock, right?
We're developing a live-action digital series for Static Shock.
Great.
And I'm on my second draft now. I'm having a great time. And it's such a spectacular character. And really, as I've been working with him and learning him inside out, I just pitch it wherever I go. You know, what you working on? And I tell folks the story, and they go, wow, is that really going to happen? I'm like, yes. So as long as I keep rocking people, I feel like we're on the right track.
That's awesome. Now, obviously, Milestone is part of the whole DC family, and could that mean we're going to see some crossover type stuff? Are we going to see some universes colliding here a little bit?
The first thing we're going to do is kind of establish Milestone.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea is that whether you're familiar with the original line or not, you know, you'll be able to pick up these books and plug right in. And I think that's great for new readers to have a new world that doesn't rely on 75 years of history.
Yeah.
But there are some toys out there, and it's hard not to play with the toys.
Yes, for sure, right? We've seen Static Shock and Batman together before, so maybe it could happen again.
The great thing about Milestone is that they had a spectacular partnership with DC back then, a spectacular partnership that we're launching now. But it's its own company, and there's a certain freedom when when you go, okay, it's just us, it's the three of us. What are we going to do?
Man, it was so cool talking with Reggie. Should I call him Reggie?
Yeah, I think he'd be okay with that. Okay. I mean, I call him Reggie because we're Facebook friends now.
Oh, very nice. All right. Well, he is so passionate about the comics. He doesn't have to make comics or be involved with comics. He wants to be involved with comics, and I love that.
It's nice to see that passion shine through. Listen, don't go anywhere, because after the break, we've got your Twitter question of the day.
If you want more EP, go to our website, epn.tv, for bonus content and full episodes. We're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to EP Daily. It is now time for the best part of today's show. It is the Twitter question of the day. This one comes from Brian Provinciano. Hey there, Brian.
We love you, Brian.
Bri Prov. He's actually very entertaining on Twitter if you want to follow him. He says, why was ROTR called Judgment Day in the U.S.? Good one.
Good question. ROTR is Reviews on the Run. Reviews on the Run started as a segment in Electric Playground back in the 90s, and then we spun it off into its own show. G4 in the U.S. wanted a brand that they could kind of put behind with their own marketing and stuff like that. And Reviews, I think, maybe was a little too generic if you didn't already know who we were. Right. So they decided on a Judgment Day brand for the show. I liked it. And it was kind of like a partnership there. We said, okay, well, we'll transform our Reviews on the Run concept into Judgment Day for you guys.
Okay, very cool.
And people were introduced to us, a lot of people in the States, as the Judgment Day people, you know? So I still hear from people all the time that said, I watch Judgment Day all the time. And,
cool.
And then they find out that Reviews on the Run is Judgment Day and that the show has been running consistently. And
yeah, Reviews has been around for a long time.
Very long time, yes, absolutely. And it still exists in Electric Playground to this day.
That's
and
right.
Speaking of which, you can watch classic episodes of EP and Reviews on the Run on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/EPNTV. Please subscribe to us there.
And like and comment.
Okay, yes.
In the next episode of EP Daily, we've got a new look at Lego Marvel's Avengers.
I can't wait for that. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.
EP would like to thank its sponsors, Nintendo, Xbox. EP's mobile coverage is brought to you by Gameloft, makers of Asphalt 8 Airborne, which you can play on your Android or iOS device for free right now.
Really dig into the Avengers franchise. It's kind of an amazing kind of group of characters that we can include. So you've got your old favourites like Iron Man, Hulk, but we're really going big on the characters. So there's over 100 characters in the game.